Welcome back, and now, as promised, part 2 of our exclusive interview with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. Let's talk about the American people,
Please.
The support. We're in an election year. This is obviously, Ukraine is front and center on voters' minds, and many of them see the $60 billion that have gone to support you, and they say that's too much. You obviously feel differently. Why should those American voters care?
First of all, I'm again thankful for bipartisan support to Americans. Yes, we understand that they pay money, but they pay money in the United States for such plants as I visited, for any plants, a lot of different companies, private companies, which produce a lot of ammunition, which is so needed for us. So this money, they put this money of Congress, they put this money to these plants, to these jobs of Americans, not for Ukrainians.
Should the American voters, though, care about what happens in Ukraine?
You have to know, already there are attacks not only on Ukraine, there are missiles and drones in Belarus, in Poland, in Baltic, in Romania. All of these, except Belarus, all of these countries are NATO countries. And if they will attack, and not just in the sky, and not just attack some infrastructure, but if they will attack people, civilian infrastructure, and if there will be a lot of, God bless not, but if a lot of losses, human losses, it will be the war, NATO, and Russia. And that's why I think it's cheaper, frankly speaking, it's cheaper to support Ukraine. Because when I say cheaper, it's not about money. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's about people. Today, it's more cheaper and more smart to support Ukraine and to help Ukraine stop Putin and to prevail.
We now have had Putin again with the nuclear threats. How concerned are you about that?
Nobody knows what in his head, really. He could use nuclear in any country, in any time, or not. I'm not sure that he will. I'm not sure that I'm sharing with you what I think, but I'm not Putin, God bless. But that I can't know exactly, but because he's not always adequate, because any adequate people can't, just come to Ukraine and did what he did. He loves his life, I think a way of life, and way of how he's managing his lives of others, I can tell, yes. And that's why I think he has to be afraid to use nuclear weapon.
As you leave now and go back, what do you think was the thing you accomplished? What is the best thing that you take away?
I think that we saved bipartisan support of Ukraine.
Did Trump's meeting go a long way towards that?
I think this also about it, yes. Biden, Harris, Trump, Congress meeting, that's all about unity of the United States. I'm thankful to all these persons whom I told now.
Mr. President, thank you for taking time.
Thank you so much.
Safe travels.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.